Good morning. Let me share my screen.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. You can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
असाइनमेंट किया सबने कल का?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very good. जिन लोगों ने नहीं किया वो करो, ठीक है? So yesterday we saw the configuration of material master material type. In that, what was pending? Number assignment and field selection. Okay. So first we will cover that and then we will start vendor master. Okay. So number ranges of material master you can maintain in transaction code MMNR. Okay. How the number ranges are maintained? Who can explain me? For material master, how the number ranges are maintained?
Sir, it depends internal or external, sir, as per we have seen. Internal number ranges will have intervals of 18-digit numbers.
How number ranges are maintained?
We add our material type in that number range.
Okay. So we group materials type together and we assign a number range to that group. Okay. All the material types for which you want same number range to be used, you group them into one group. So you create a group, a number range is assigned to that group, and in that group you add the material types for which you want the same number range. Clear? किसने किसने करके देखा ये?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
So if you see here, if I go to display groups, this is a group, this is a group, AK material, in which these two material types are added. 001 material types, this is a group in which these material types are added. So you create a group and in that group you add the material types, and based on that number range which is assigned to that group. So this is a group. In this group, these are the material types. And number range is assigned to this group. So if you go to its details, you can see number range number 05 is assigned to this group. You define a group and you add the material types to that group. So to create a group, you go to edit groups, create group. So you can give a name. And you need to specify a start number and end number. Interval in which you want to create your materials, you can specify. Now it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible.
अगर किसी को नहीं दिख रहा है तो क्विकली लॉग ऑफ करके लॉग इन कर लेना. Which number ranges we can use here? Okay, so if you see, I have given this number range here. So starting from here and ending at this number is my number range, which is assigned to this group ISB9. Save it, go back. Now you can search here, you can find the group ISB9, ISB9 training. No material type is there inside this group. Now we need to add the material types in this group. So select it. No, sorry. Just go back. Select the material types that you want to add to that group. For example, if I want to add ROH, I will select ROH. Select the material type. Now find it. Select ROH. Click on element group. Assign element group. So we are going to assign this ROH to our group. What is our group? ISB9 training. Where is that? You can see here. So the number range, number assigned is 52 to our group. So now I have moved ROH to that group. Okay. Same way, you can go to FERT, select it, move it, save it. Now you check the group. There are two material types added in this group. So if you create a material with material type ROH now, the new number range will be applicable to the material. MM01 industry sector mechanical ROH basic data purchasing data plant ISP1, and you can see the first number in the number range is assigned to this material. Got it? Any doubts?
Yes, sir.
This is how you assign the number ranges to the material types. So that's why we say that material type controls the number assignment or number range. Clear? So while defining the group, we have selected the internal number range. So this number range 52 is internal number range. 52. So if you see, this external checkbox is not selected. Clear? Understood?
Yes, sir.
This is how you assign the number ranges to material master number. Now field selection. Tell me how the field selection is controlled for material master. What is field selection first of all? Yes. What is field selection?
To make field mandatory, sir.
Hmm?
the way field appears, like you have to saturate the data may be changeable, or mandatory data you have to put there. You can assign that in field settings.
Assigning attributes to the fields.
What attributes? Assigned to the fields.
We can control the fields which we are going to see while making the material. We can hide them or we can make them mandatory or optional. Field selection.
Yes. Okay. So field selection is nothing but controlling the behavior of the fields. For example, you can see on this screen, this field description is a mandatory field. Without entering the input in this field, you cannot proceed. So this is a mandatory field. So I need to enter here a description for this, right? Then I can proceed. Then it takes me to the next mandatory field. Again, base unit of measure is a mandatory field. Input in this field is required. Without entering a value in this field, we cannot proceed. So this is again a mandatory field. Material group, you can see here optional. If I don't enter anything, that is fine. Again, old material number is mandatory. Again, this external material group is optional. This is optional. This is optional. This is optional. This field in which you can see what is the value in that field, but you cannot make any change here. This field is display only field. Okay. So this is called as field selection. So while creating the material master or while changing or while displaying, what is the field selection for the fields on the screen? So we can assign the attributes like mandatory or required entry, hidden or suppress, display only or optional. So there are four possible options. Which are those? Either a field can be hidden or you can say suppress, or it can be a display only field, mandatory or required entry, and optional. HDMO, hide display mandatory option. Okay, this is what is field selection. Now this field selection, we say it is controlled based on the material type. This is controlled based on the material type. So what material type we are using, based on that this field selection can be applicable. ROH is the material type. So based on this material type, this field selection can be controlled. How that is controlled, that we will see now. So to go to the field selection, we must decide first. So let us take a field, and for that field, we will do the field selection. For example, old material number, this field is mandatory here. I want to make this field as optional. How to do this as optional? Function F1, place the cursor on the field and press function F1. Go to technical information and you will get to know what is the table in which this field is stored and what is the field name of this particular field. Yesterday's assignment, I had given you table names for material master vendor register. Everybody was able to do that. सबने पता किया कौन सा डेटा कौन से टेबल में स्टोर होता है.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So table name is Mara and field name is BISMT. Okay. So once you know the table name and field name, go to the configuration SPRO IMG Logistics General. Material master field selection. Assign fields to field selection group. So the fields in material master are assigned to field selection group. So they are grouped together and the field selection is done basis on the groups. So just like we assign the number range to the material type groups, fields in material master data are grouped together and field selection is assigned to that group. So if you group 4 5 fields together and if you make them display, all those fields will be display only. If you make them mandatory, all those fields will be mandatory. Likewise. So they are grouped into a field selection group. Now, once you come here, you have to search by field name. What was the field name? Mara was the table name and BISMT was the field name. So enter here table name dash field name and continue, and it will take you to the field old material number Mara BISMT. Now once you know this field, you can see here selection group 11. So this field is assigned in field selection group 11. You can go to the field selection maintenance, and if you see here, this is the only field which is assigned in this group, Mara BISMT, and its control you can see here. Now these are the field references. Now, what is the field reference for ROH material type? Where you can see that?
पोजीशन आरओएच
OMS2 में ही दिखता है ऊपर.
Correct. In OMS2, if you go to material type ROH, you can see here this field reference ROH. Okay. For material type ROH, this is the field reference ROH which is assigned here. So this controls the field selection. So what you have to do is you have to search here what is the material type field reference. So the field reference is ROH. Go to ROH. ROH is here, you can see ROH. And if you see here, it is a required entry. That is why this is mandatory for ROH. So if you select another material type here, MM01, let's select FERT here. Go to basic data, continue. Again, this is mandatory. Why it is mandatory? So you can check FERT. Where is FERT? It is mandatory. Clear? Now, if I make this as optional entry for FERT as well as ROH and save it. Now go back. Go to MM01. Enter. Select. Continue. Now this is still mandatory for FERT. Go back. MM01. ROH. Select basic data. Continue. Still mandatory. Why?
Sir, I think I have to save the changes.
I guess we have saved the changes. Already we have saved the changes.
सर लॉग आउट करके लॉग इन करना होगा सर.
No, not required. Even if I do the refresh, that is fine. It should work. Still it is mandatory. Why?
We have to check field reference MM01.
Let us check. Who is that? Who has answered this?
Ajay,
इसमें
Hello, sir.
yes.
Please check it field reference. There are multiple ROH or there are not.
No, there are not multiple ROH. अभी
sir,
किसने
this
आंसर
one
किया था MM01 का चेक
minus
करने के लिए?
Ajay.
वेरी गुड अजय. ठीक है. सो अगर आपने कॉन्फ़िगरेशन का टॉपिक बुक नंबर 4 में जो दिया हुआ है आपका अच्छे से पढ़ा है तो इसका आंसर आप कर सकते हो. Now field selection is not only dependent on material type. Material type is one parameter based on which you can do the field selection. But the field selection is also dependent on the transaction code. So when it comes to material master, vendor master, the field selection is not only dependent on the material type or vendor account group. Along with that, the field selection is also dependent on the industry sector. It is also dependent on the material type. So if you see these field references, MM01 is there, MM02 is there, MM03 is there. Why these field references are there? So when you are using transaction code MM01, the field reference of MM01 is used. So some fields in MM01 you can see mandatory, some optional. When you go to MM03, all the fields are display only. When you go to MM02, all the fields are the mandatory fields which you cannot change will be shown in display only. Some fields you can edit, some fields you cannot edit. So that configuration is based on the field reference MM02. So when there are two conflicting configurations based on material type and based on ROH, based on material type and based on transaction. So if you see, MM01 says it is a required entry, but our material type says it is a optional entry, right? Material type field selection says that it is optional entry. So if I go to ROH, we have marked this at optional entry, but if you go to MM01, this is marked as a required entry. Now same field तो वही है, old material number, but MM01 क्या बोलता है कि वो मैंडेटरी है और ROH क्या बोलता है कि वो ऑप्शनल है. So we are into MM01 transaction code, we have used ROH. Now ये दोनों अंदर जाते हैं, जैसे ये दोनों का यूज करके हम अंदर जाते हैं, मटेरियल टाइप बोलता है ये मैंडेटरी है, सॉरी MM01 बोलता है कि ये मैंडेटरी है और मटेरियल टाइप बोलता है कि ऑप्शनल है. सो व्हाट सिस्टम डज, सिस्टम क्या सिलेक्ट करेगा? सिस्टम यूजेस द प्रायोरिटी. सो व्हाट इज द प्रायोरिटी? अगर दो पैरामीटर्स का फील्ड सिलेक्शन कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग है तो वहां पे एक टेबल दिया हुआ है आपके बुक में, ठीक है? हाइड, डिस्प्ले, मैंडेटरी एंड ऑप्शनल. Hide, display, mandatory and optional. This is the priority. First priority is hide, second priority is display, third priority is mandatory, fourth priority is optional. Now, if we are doing a transaction, okay, like we are creating the material master. Now, MM01 says mandatory, right? And ROH says it is optional. So for material type, the field is optional. For MM01, the field is mandatory. So what system will do? System will check the priority. So mandatory has greater priority than optional. So mandatory has the first priority and then optional. Okay? So MM01 says mandatory, ROH says optional, right? Who has the priority? Mandatory has the priority. So this particular field will be made as mandatory. Clear? Understood?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. अगर मैं MM01 पे इसको हाइड कर देता हूं और ROH पे मैं इसको मैंडेटरी कर देता हूं तो क्या होगा फिर?
हाइड को प्रायोरिटी मिलेगी.
हाइड को प्रायोरिटी मिलेगी, वो फील्ड हाइड हो जाएगी. So this is how the field selection is controlled. That is the reason this field is still mandatory and not optional, because at MM01 this is made as a required entry. So make it optional, save it, and now go to MM01 again. Select it, continue. Now you can see this field is optional. Clear? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. So what controls material type? So material type controls the number assignment. Material type controls the procurement type. Material type controls the user departments. Material type controls the field selection. And material type controls the automatic account determination. So this completes your material master. Okay. So whatever we have discussed yesterday and whatever we have discussed today, उसी पे ही इंटरव्यू में क्वेश्चंस होंगे. इंटरव्यूअर आपको घुमा फिरा के पूछ सकता है, बट इसके बाहर कुछ नहीं पूछ सकता. क्लियर? ठीक है. सो प्रैक्टिस दिस थिंग्स. नाउ वी विल गो फॉर वेंडर मास्टर.
Hello?
Anybody is having any doubt in material
Yes.
master?
Hello?
Yes.
Sir, can you go please MM01 T code? जो कल आपने बताया था जो मटेरियल स्टेटस उसमें उधर एक ऑप्शन है कि हम उसको ब्लॉक कर सकते हैं फिजिकल इन्वेंट्री और वार्निंग मैसेज दे सकता है, लेकिन हमारे पास MM0 ऑप्शन है ना, MM06, तो ये क्यों दिया है मटेरियल स्टेटस? हम कहाँ देख सकते हैं?
नहीं, क्वेश्चन वापस रिपीट करो.
ये मटेरियल स्टेटस हम देख सकते हैं ना, मतलब ये ब्लॉक फॉर पेमेंट है या फिर वार्निंग इशू. तो MM06 भी हम फ्लैग डिलीशन दे सकते हैं ना, तो फिर इसका स्टेटस का यूज कहाँ होता है?
स्टेटस का यूज कहाँ होता है? ओके, गुड क्वेश्चन, नाइस क्वेश्चन. ठीक है. सो सी, व्हाट इज द यूज ऑफ MM06?
हम मटेरियल को ब्लॉक कर सकते हैं, मतलब डिलीशन,
मटेरियल को डिलीट करना. Now when you will delete material, when you don't want to use that material, okay?
Okay sir.
So that is the reason we use MM06. Now what is material status? So using material status, we can assign a status to that material master account. Okay. Now where it is used? Okay. Now suppose, so there will be processes. Company में अलग अलग प्रोसेस होते हैं to create the material masters, to start using that material master. ठीक है. जैसे अभी मटेरियल मास्टर क्रिएट करते समय उसका प्राइस मेंटेन किया या नहीं किया, ठीक है. So without price, without accounting data, you cannot purchase that material, you cannot do any goods movement, right? So they will create a status to assign that material, whether the price is maintained or not. So for that, they will create a status, material price maintained or price pending. So the user who is creating the material master record, he can update that status that for this particular material, the price is not yet maintained. And based on that, we can configure a message in configuration that it should give a error message while creating the purchase order. Material is obsolete. Obsolete means उसका यूज नहीं करना है अभी, ठीक है. ब्लॉक्ड फॉर परचेसिंग, अगर कोई मटेरियल है उसमें कुछ इशू हुआ है and you don't want users to purchase that material, so the user can go and maintain that this material is blocked for purchasing, means you cannot purchase this material. So if a user who doesn't know that there is issue with that material and if he tries to create the purchase order, system will give the error that this material is blocked for purchasing. So what that user will do, that user will talk to the user person responsible who has made that as blocked for purchasing. So this is how these things are controlled based on this material status. For approval, so in material master, while creating the material master, if they have used some approval mechanism, so once the concerned people they approve that material, then and then only material code will be generated. Or there is a process to create the material master record and they need to get the approval. So unless and until it is approved, you cannot use it. So if the approval is pending or it is in between the approval process, you can maintain the status as for approval. And based on that, you can show a warning message or error message to the user. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So likewise, you can assign different statuses to the material master based on the business requirements.
So while creating PO, automatically this error generate.
Yes, because in configuration, you specify the status. कॉन्फ़िगरेशन में आप स्टेटस में क्या क्या मैसेज देने हैं, कहाँ कहाँ पे मैसेज देने हैं, यू डिसाइड दैट. लॉजिस्टिक्स जनरल, मटेरियल मास्टर, settings for key fields, define material statuses. So here you can see the status. So what is means of 01? So you go to details, you can see purchasing message. So you define here in purchasing function what should be the message, error message. So wherever in which function you want to display the warning message or error message, you can configure. So it is error message for purchasing. So whenever you try to do any activity, create PR, create PO, create contract, it will give you a error because we have selected here error message for purchasing. Clear?
Yes, sir.
That's how it is. Now vendor master record. So vendor master is nothing but creating master data of the vendors that we deal with. हम जिन जिन vendors के साथ काम करते हैं उनका master data system में create करना मतलब vendor master. Now the transaction codes to create vendor master are XK01 to change XK02, to display XK03, to display changes XK04, to block unblock XK05, and to delete the vendor master XK06. What is MK01? What is MK06?
Only purchasing data can maintain, not accounting data.
Using
Company code not used for the MK01.
okay, and for FK01
financial data is used.
Company code data at company code data levels.
So,
So when to use XK01, when to use MK01 and FK01.
when we do centrally purchasing, then we use XK01, and when we do P org level, then we use MK01, और जब हम ये कंपनी कोड लेवल पे करते हैं तब हम FK01 यूज करते हैं.
जैसे वेरियस डिपार्टमेंट्स होते हैं कंपनी में, जैसे कि फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट वाले के पास उसको डेटा मेंटेन करना है, तो वो क्या कर सकता है, FK01 में जाके उसके लेवल का डेटा मेंटेन कर सकता है, क्योंकि हर किस के अलग अलग ये हो सकते हैं, प्रायोरिटीज हो सकते हैं, ऑप्शंस हो सकते हैं. वैसे अगर परचेसिंग डिपार्टमेंट है तो परचेसिंग डिपार्टमेंट वाले को उसका डेटा मेंटेन करना है, तो ही विल गो फॉर MK01 लाइक दैट.
But if you have XK01, where you can maintain purchasing organization data and company code data both, why there is need for separate transaction code FK01 and MK01?
सर वो कंपनी के ऑथराइजेशन पे होता है ना.
कंपनी के ऑथराइजेशन पे.
अगर आपको कंपनी ने वो टी कोड यूज करने को ऑथराइज किया है तो आप यूज कर सकते हैं, तो फिर आपको परचेसिंग व्यू के हिसाब से टी कोड यूज करनी होती है.
Okay, ठीक है. So this is a business decision. बिजनेस डिसीजन मतलब जिस कंपनी के लिए हम काम कर रहे हैं ये उनके ऊपर डिपेंड होता है, and based on that SAP has given this provision. Okay, अब होता क्या है, sometimes not everywhere you can see this transaction code MK01 FK01 are assigned to users. Okay, earlier these were separate transactions FK01 MK01. so पहले जब एक्सेस दिया जाता था यूजर्स को, तो परचेस डिपार्टमेंट के यूजर्स or the purchasing persons who were responsible to enter the data in vendor master record. Now vendor master में major stakeholders जो है वो purchase department और finance department है. ठीक है, क्यों? क्योंकि वेंडर को परचेस ऑर्डर्स देना, उसके लिए निगोशिएशन करना, ये सारी एक्टिविटीज परचेसिंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन लेवल पे परचेसिंग डिपार्टमेंट करता है, एंड वेंडर का पेमेंट करना that is the responsibility of the finance department. So these are the major stakeholders in vendor master record. तो vendor master data में इन दोनों का ही ज्यादा रोल होता है, purchase department and finance department. So कुछ जगहों पे कुछ कंपनीज में अगर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स है इन दो डिपार्टमेंट में, ठीक है, जब हम काम करते हैं तो एक दूसरे के साथ हमारे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स होते हैं. सेम वे हर कंपनी में ये होता है, परचेस डिपार्टमेंट फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट, कि हमारा डेटा जो है वो फाइनेंस को नहीं दिखना चाहिए या फाइनेंस को परचेस का डेटा नहीं दिखना चाहिए, ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला. ठीक है, सो इन दैट सिचुएशन, इन सच सिनेरियोस, इफ द बिजनेस आस्क दैट the finance user should not be able to maintain the purchasing data, or purchasing user should not be able to maintain the finance data, then in such a situation SAP has given us provision of these separate transaction codes. So for purchase department you can assign transaction codes starting with MK01, and for finance department we can assign transactions starting with FK. And if there is no conflict, if they are okay that purchase department or finance department both can display the vendor master record, there is nothing serious in displaying the vendor master details, then in that case you can go with central transaction codes XK01 XK02 XK02. Clear? Understood?
Yes, sir.
So it is just a method to control the access to the users. Users को सिस्टम में क्या एक्सेस देना है उसके लिए ये SAP ने दिया होगा प्रोविजन है. Whatever data we maintain using FK01, MK01 or XK01 is same. Only the method is different. Okay. What is reconciliation account?
It is generally the GL account where all the posting related to the vendors happens, like credit, debit, subsequent credit, debit, all the things posted over there.
Okay. What else? What is reconciliation account?
Maintain all the information about payment.
What do you mean by maintain all the information about payment? What is reconciliation account? Where you can see the reconciliation account?
Material master.
Material master.
Vendor
Vendor
master.
master.
Sorry, vendor insurance.
Reconciliation account, it is nothing but a general ledger account, and it is maintain the balance sheet of the vendor related data.
All the accounting related part will handle a reconciliation account.
What do you mean by all accounting related information?
Sir,
Because it is
reconciliation
stored in
accounts
company
are
code level.
reconciliation accounts are GL accounts where postings are made automatically whenever your business transaction is entered.
Can you give me an example?
सर जैसे कि कंसल्टेंट है तो वो 16,000 लेकर वो पेमेंट करते हैं रिकंसिलेशन अकाउंट पे, तो ऐसे कॉमन ये टर्म दिया जाता है कि ये रिकंसिलेशन अकाउंट से ये सारे पेमेंट होंगे अपने.
Okay. What is the definition of reconciliation account in your book? Okay. Apart from the vendor master record, where you can see the reconciliation account? Yes. कहीं और जगह पे देखा है वेंडर मास्टर की जगह छोड़ के रिकंसिलिएशन अकाउंट को? XK03. This is your reconciliation account. Now this reconciliation account, what is this reconciliation account? So reconciliation account is an account in which you can see company's liability towards multiple vendors. Now what is meaning of this?
So liability means how much payment we have to make to that particular vendor, sir.
Right? Liability means how much payment we have to do to the vendors. Now what I said is multiple vendors. Okay. So इसका मतलब क्या है? Liability towards multiple vendors.
Sir, all the vendors to which this reconciliation account is attached, we can know those vendors.
Okay. So all the vendors to which this reconciliation account is assigned in their vendor master records. So for all those vendors, what is my liability? वो सारे vendors का मिला के कितना पेमेंट मुझे करना है, वो अमाउंट रिकंसिलेशन अकाउंट में स्टोर होता है. Got it? So
Yes.
how it is done? So if there are three vendors A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and element, these are my three vendors. Now this vendor, I assign this reconciliation account. So all these three vendors, I have assigned these reconciliation accounts. Same reconciliation account. So when you give the PO to this first vendor for 1 lakh rupees, 1 लाख रुपए का आपने इसको PO दिया, इसको आपने 2 लाख का PO दिया, इसको आपने 3 लाख रुपीस का PO दिया. नाउ इस वेंडर ने आपको इनवॉइस दिया, आपने इनवॉइस बुक किया 50,000 का, इसने आपको 2 लाख का दिया, इनवॉइस आपने 2 लाख का किया, और इसने सपोज 1.5 लाख का आपको इनवॉइस दिया, मतलब 1.5 लाख का मटेरियल दे दिया, उसका इनवॉइस दे दिया, आपने इनवॉइस बुक किया. So in reconciliation account, when you post this first invoice, 50,000 rupees will be posted to reconciliation account. When you post the second invoice, this 2 lakh rupees will be posted to this reconciliation account. When you post the third invoice, this 1,50,000 will be posted to reconciliation account. So when you display the balance of reconciliation account, how much it will show you? 4 lakh rupees. So the balance on this reconciliation account will be 4 lakh rupees. So when you display this account, you will come to know that total इन 3 vendors का मिला के मुझे 4 लाख रुपए देना है. Clear?
Yes.
So reconciliation account is an account which depicts, which tells me about liability towards multiple vendors. तो जितने vendors को ये reconciliation account है, उन सब का मिला के मुझे कितना पेमेंट करना है, that is stored in the reconciliation account. So whenever you post a invoice, जब आप invoice post करते हो, तो reconciliation account में posting होता है. तो invoice में आपको reconciliation account display होगा. Have we done the goods receipt for this? We have not posted the goods receipt for this. Let us do the goods receipt. Migo goods receipt and type here quantity. Storage location 1000. While posting the goods receipt or invoice receipt, you may get the same error. ठीक है, आपने जो कंपनी कोड्स क्रिएट किए हैं उसमें अगर आप करने जाओगे तो आपको एरर आएगा, तो ध्यान से देखना. मेंटेन टॉलरेंस लिमिट्स फॉर टॉलरेंस की वीपी ISB8. Okay, this is for ISB8. So just do one thing. Click on this question mark. You can go directly from here to the transaction. You just have to come here, click on new entry, maintain the tolerance key VP. company code ISB8. Okay, you can select do not check. If you want to check with limit, you can enter the limit. तो मूविंग एवरेज प्राइस में डिफरेंस नहीं आना चाहिए, इसलिए ये चेक है मूविंग एवरेज प्राइस वैरिएंस। मूविंग एवरेज की वजह से अगर इनवॉइस में प्राइस वैरिएंस आता है तो वहां पे चेक करना है या नहीं करना है टॉलरेंस, उसके लिए ये की होता है दैट वी नीड टू मेंटेन। गो बैक, गो बैक, गो बैक, क्लोज इट, now you can post it. ये नंबर रेंज का भी एरर दे सकता है अभी कंपनी कोड पे, अकाउंटिंग डॉक्यूमेंट का नंबर रेंज मेंटेन होगा तो ठीक है, अदरवाइज ये वो भी पूछेगा। ISB8 के लिए अकाउंटिंग डॉक्यूमेंट का नंबर रेंज 50 एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता है, वी नीड टू मेंटेन इट। जस्ट गो टू FBN1 ISB8 change intervals, number range 50. Just copy the number range 50, click on new entry, enter here 50 2022 here, ending it is set. पोस्ट हो गया, ठीक है। नाउ व्हेन यू गो टू इनवॉइस दिस PO, copy the PO, ISB8, the number range M1 is missing for the year 2022। तो ये जो डॉक्यूमेंट टाइप है इनवॉइस का, इसको जो नंबर रेंज असाइंड है वो नंबर रेंज एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती है, तो वी नीड टू चेंज दैट। कहाँ पे चेंज करना पड़ेगा उसको? Assignment for accounting documents. So here you can see the number range M1 is assigned. So we need to change this ISB. So we'll use the same number range 50 here, which we just configure. So 0. Invoicing party. Three double 0 5. Okay, ISB 9. Just 1 second. Miro. Switch company code ISB 9. Let me do one thing. Here we can check that for this. So we need to maintain the number range. Go back ISB 9. Change the interval. 50. To the goods receipt for the PO. Fifty is used for accounting document that is generated at the time of goods receipt. 51 is used for accounting document that is generated at the time of invoice receipt. So if you go to Miro now, enter the PO number, enter the PO number. Click on calculate tax. V0, V0. The tax guy running. What is baseline date? Baseline date in invoice.
PO date.
The date on which you have to post the invoice.
What? What is baseline date?
When the PO is posted on the
Date.
it is a reference date.
For
So date for
If
which payment
if
terms
there are
apply.
payment terms linked, so that calculated from this date.
good. Okay. Reference for calculating the date of payment or due date of the payment. Now, if you see here, customization for missing in the table. Okay. ये करना पड़ेगा अपने को global settings Now, if I simulate this, error निकालना पड़ेगा. T169V entry ISB9 does not exist. ISB9, so we need to go to create session. It's not here. is not saving. It is not saving. If you see here, the value is not getting stored for this tax code. That is why this error is coming.
सर दूसरा प्लांट यूज करना
प्लांट यूज करने से टैक्स कोड कैसे चेंज होगा? टैक्स कोड्स आर इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ
सर
द
अगर
प्लांट.
ये आइटम डिटेल में इसको जाकर टैक्स दे देते हैं तो ले लेता है समटाइम्स
नहीं, वो भी करके देखा ना हमने.
टैक्स
तो
कोड
प्रॉब्लम
की
ये
जगह पे।
टैक्स की प्रोसीजर में वो जब टैक्स ले रहा है तो उसका वैल्यू उसको नहीं मिल रहा है. व्हाई? बिकॉज द वैल्यू इज नॉट स्टोर्ड हियर. व्हेन आई एम ट्राइंग टू स्टोर द वैल्यू ऑफ दिस टैक्स कोड, 12% इसको टैक्स लगना चाहिए. तो ये
सर ट्रेनिंग पर्पस के लिए विदाउट टैक्स नहीं कर सकते क्या इनवॉइसिंग?
जीरो नहीं हो रहा है. इनवॉइस में टैक्स रहेगा ही रहेगा. विदाउट टैक्स, विदाउट एंटरिंग अ टैक्स, यू कैन नॉट बुक द टैक्स. Sorry, you cannot book the invoice.
But sir, it is a FICO part.
Something. One second. कुछ तो है. Setting है ये. I'm just.
सर ये एरर एमएम वाले बंदे ठीक करते हैं या फिर FICO वाले?
So ये मोस्टली फिको के बंदे करते हैं. ठीक है. टैक्स के लिए अलग से टैक्स कंसल्टेंट्स होते हैं. Now it should work. Okay. FEXP 1. Now it is coming. क्या किया मैंने, किसको समझ में आया? कंडीशन में वैल्यू स्टोर नहीं हो रहा था, तो मैंने वो कंडीशन का एक्सेस सीक्वेंस चेंज किया. ठीक है. नाउ इफ यू गो टू मीरो, V1 टैक्स कोड के साथ अभी ये पोस्ट हो सकता है. सेलेक्ट V1 here. V1 calculate tax. टैक्स का कैलकुलेशन नहीं हुआ, बट लेट इट बी. Now when you simulate, what is the error now? Entry ISB 9 does not exist. Table 169V. SM30. Okay. So this is a table which we need to maintain for tax. Okay. You can copy any row from here and just change the company code. ISB 9. This V1 is there, right? Tax INN, tax INN. Okay, where is that? Copy this, enter ISB as well. So ये एक्सरसाइज के टाइम का सेटिंग्स है, टेबल में एंट्री होना चाहिए. So if you mirror, now you can see this is your vendor account and this is the reconciliation account 164004. So where this value 1000 rupees is posted into vendor account, reconciliation account. So 1000 rupees minus means we have to pay 1000 rupees to the vendor. And when you do the payment in this account, you post plus 10,000 so that there is no balance on this vendor now. Understood? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is what is a reconciliation account. Now let me post this. It is posted. Now the next is account group. What is the importance of account group in vendor master record? Tell me, what is the importance of account group in vendor master record? What it controls? Yes.
Field selection.
What?
Field selection. We can identify one-time vendor or not.
What else?
It will determine number range.
So it controls the field selection at the time of creations. The
Whether the vendor is one-time vendor or regular vendor. Also, which partner functions are valid.
Okay. So the vendor account group controls these things: number assignment and number range. So whether the number range is internal or external, and what is the number range that is controlled by vendor account group. Status of the vendor master record, whether it is one-time vendor or whether it is a regular vendor. Field selection of the vendor master record is controlled by the account group. Vendor subrange or plant specific data, if you want to maintain, you can configure that based on the account group. And the partner schema, which partner functions you want to use in the vendor master record, that we can control through vendor account group. So जैसे मटेरियल मास्टर में मटेरियल टाइप का यूज होता है, it controls some things. Same way in vendor master, vendor account group controls some things. Clear? ठीक है? So we will see in system now how these things are controlled by the vendor account group. Okay? One second. Huh? Yes. So number assignment and number range. How the number range is assigned to vendor account group? What is the transaction code for configuration of vendor account group? Yes. Which transaction code is used for configuration of vendor account group?
Business partner.
OMSG, business partner is in S4 HANA. That is to create vendor master record. Okay. So to configure vendor account group, you use OMSG transaction code. Okay. So here you can see the account group 0001, 0002. These are different account groups. Now you go to its details and you see the number range 04 is assigned to this vendor account group. So it is directly assigned to the account group. So when you use this account group while creating the vendor master data, the number range 04 is used. So if you see here number range 04, it starts from 3 lakh, ends at 5 lakh. So a number between this range will be assigned to the vendor master record, and this is a internal number range. How I come to know that this is internal number range? Because this external checkbox is blank here. Clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Second point, one time account. So if you select this checkbox here, then when you create the vendors with this account group, those vendor masters will be one-time vendors. Now, what is a one-time vendor? Explain what is one-time vendor with an example.
One-time vendor address need not be maintained. While purchasing order, we maintain address actually, because regular we are not procuring the material from that vendor. It is just for the emergency purpose.
Okay. That's it. What about invoice? What is one-time vendor?
वन टाइम वेंडर का मास्टर रिकॉर्ड हम मेंटेन नहीं करते।
क्यों नहीं करते हैं?
सिस्टम में अननेसेसरी डेटा बढ़ेगा इसलिए।
तो फिर कैसे करते हैं? फिर डेटा तो मेंटेन नहीं करते हैं, फिर ट्रांजैक्शन कैसे करते हैं? पीओ कैसे करते हैं? इनवॉइस कैसे करते हैं?
We can club the different one-time vendor at a single vendor master record.
Yes.
Address later on while procuring the material in PO, address will mention there. Invoicing also possible, sir. Invoicing is also possible in this one-time vendor.
क्या करना है? वन टाइम वेंडर का प्रोसेस पहले आपको रीड करना है. व्हाट इज वन टाइम अकाउंट? ओके, then you have to create vendor master records, at least 2 vendor master records of one time vendors. You have to observe what is difference between a regular vendor master record and one time vendor master record, and then you need to create 2 purchase orders using one time vendor, and you have to post the invoice for that 2 purchase orders, and you have to check what is the difference between normal regular vendors PO and what is the difference between one time vendors PO. Clear? Then you need to work on field selection, material master, change field selection for at least 2 fields in material master. मटेरियल मास्टर में से कोई भी 2 फील्ड्स उठा लो, उनका फील्ड सिलेक्शन चेंज करना है एंड उसको टेस्ट करना है. कॉन्फ़िगरेशन में जाके फील्ड सिलेक्शन को चेंज करो मटेरियल मास्टर में जाके उसका देखो कि वो अप्लाई हुआ है या नहीं हुआ है। ठीक है, मटेरियल टाइप नंबर रेंज, if you want you can practice, otherwise don't move the material types from here and there, because बाद में प्रैक्टिस करते समय बहुत सारे लोगों को इश्यूज आते हैं। ठीक है, सो you can check, you can go and display the groups, check the material types and check whether the same number range is being applied, but don't move the material types from this group to that group, that will then create again problem. Okay, clear? ठीक है,
Yes.
okay, now let us go to vendor account group. so one time account क्या है, ये आपको प्रोसेस रीड करना है, इसका पूरा असाइनमेंट करना है, नहीं होता है आई विल एक्सप्लेन यू टुमारो। ठीक है, सिंपल, वन टाइम वेंडर्स आर द वेंडर्स विथ विच वी डू rare transactions. Once in a year we do any transactions with such vendors. So we do not store vendor specific information. वेंडर का नेम, एड्रेस, बैंक डिटेल्स हम वेंडर मास्टर में स्टोर नहीं करते हैं। So what you do, you create the purchase order, and at the time of creation of purchase order, system will ask you address of that vendor, because in vendor master the address is not stored. So when you create the PO, system will ask you the address, so you enter the address. Then when you go for the invoice booking, system will ask the bank details of that vendor. So you enter the bank details, you pay the invoice, and the transaction is closed. Next time, using same vendor master, you can issue PO to different vendor, because every time you create the PO, you have to specify the address and bank details of the vendor. So same vendor code can be used for multiple vendors. Okay, so try this. This is an assignment for you, and if not, if you do not understand, I'll explain you tomorrow. Okay, now field selection for vendor master record is pretty simple. So if you come to field status here, you can go to general data and you can see the fields here, and simply you can mark this as required entry or optional entry. Okay, so if I go to XK01, and if I use account group 0001 here, this name one is mandatory, search term is mandatory. Why? Because here you can see name one is mandatory, search term is mandatory. Let us make it optional, save it, continue, go back, XK01, enter. Now you can see this is optional. Now I want to hide this. Go to general data, address, suppress it, name, search term, suppress it, save it. Now if you go to XK01, the field is hidden. Okay, likewise you can check the field, you can go to the account group, check whether the field is in company code data. So if you see, reconciliation account should be a required entry. Okay, so if you want to change the fields in company code data, go to company code data. If you want to change the fields in purchasing data, go to purchasing data and you can see the fields. So purchase order currency is a required entry. Terms of payment, make it as a required entry. Okay, likewise you can make GR based invoice verification, make it as a required entry and save it. Now when you go to vendor master record, XK01, enter. This field selection of country is controlled by SAP program. इसको आप चेंज नहीं कर पाओगे. This is SAP standard. ठीक है, so this is not given to you to change. SAP is smartly designed. कुछ फील्ड्स का फील्ड सिलेक्शन आपको दिया हुआ है जो आप डिसीजन ले सकते हो. जो मैंडेटरी थिंग्स है, बाय डिफॉल्ट इट शुड बी मैंडेटरी, दैट इज ऑलरेडी मैंडेटरी, यू कैनॉट मेक इट ऑप्शन. Reconciliation account is mandatory, this is mandatory. Now in purchasing data, we have made order currency as mandatory, we have made terms of payment as mandatory, and this GR based invoice verification is also mandatory. So you see here. So it is asking, it is taking the cursor to GR based invoice verification automatically. So you can make this as, and you can save it. So this is how you control the field selection based on the account group. Now data retention levels, vendor sub-range relevant and plant relevant. What is this? What is vendor sub-range? What is plant level? Yes. What is vendor sub-range? Okay, before that, at which organizational levels vendor master data is maintained? Yes. At which organizational levels vendor master data is maintained?
Company code and purchasing organization.
Company code and purchasing organization. Only two organizational levels?
Client data.
Plant level and sub-range level also we can maintain. For different kind of plant, different data we can enter. Also, while creating when we have created a sub-range level vendor at the sub-range level, we can define the different data at sub-range level for the same vendor.
Very good. Okay. So if you see the organizational levels in vendor master data are client, so general data is maintained at client level, company code, okay, and the purchasing organization. These are the organizational levels on which vendor master data can be maintained. But additional to these organizational levels, you can also maintain the vendor master data at vendor sub-range level or plant level. So what is vendor sub-range and what is plant? So plant we already know. What is vendor sub-range?
So vendor sub-range might be it's like for different materials. For a particular material, this vendor has to purchase the material. Like that, we can separate them. So, like paints, one vendor he cannot go for other.
Okay. So sub-range, when we are buying something from a vendor and the same product is having different range, product range. For example, somebody said paint. Okay, so if we are buying paint from different vendors, so if you want to buy the paint, the colors of the paint will have different shades. So if you want to maintain vendor data based on those shades of the colors, ठीक है, एक कलर में 4-5 शेड है जैसे, ठीक है, तो हर एक शेड के लिए वेंडर का डेटा अलग से मेंटेन करना है, तो हम वेंडर सब रेंज का यूज कर सकते हैं. या फिर दूसरा एग्जांपल अगर आपको लेना है, जैसे एप्पल का सीरीज आता है, एप्पल आईफोन का, ठीक है, या फिर लैपटॉप्स के सीरीज आते हैं, लेनोवो का जैसे थिंक पैड आता है, आइडिया पैड आता है, ठीक है. सो व्हाट आर दीज आर रेंजेस ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट्स. जो प्रोडक्ट है, प्रोडक्ट में अलग अलग रेंज है, अलग अलग वेरिएशन है. तो आपको प्रोडक्ट लेवल पे वेंडर का डेटा अगर मेंटेन करना है, तो आप उसके लिए वेंडर सब रेंज मेंटेन कर सकते हो. एप्पल आईफोन 5 एक सब रेंज हो गया, आईफोन 6, आईफोन 7. सो दीज आर सब रेंजेस, आईफोन 5, आईफोन 6, आईफोन 7. Now, when you want to purchase iPhone 5 relevant material from the vendor, what is the specific data that you want to maintain in the vendor master record? That can be maintained. Same way at plant level. Suppose you are purchasing material from vendor in different plants and you want to maintain the data based on plant. You can make use of that. For that, you need to select these two check boxes. So when you select these two check boxes, then using this account group, you can maintain the data at plant level or sub-range level. So if you go to XK01, now you are into purchasing data. Here you can see different data and sub-ranges. So this data which you are seeing here, you are maintaining at purchasing organization level. So this order currency INR is at purchasing organization level, IM, ISB 9, terms of payment at purchasing organizational level, GR based invoice verification. Now if I go to different data, here I can maintain data at plant level. So if I want to maintain the data specific to ISP1 plant, I can enter here ISP1 and select purchasing data. Now this data is maintained at plant level. So if in this plant, when I purchase material from this vendor, I want to use a separate payment term, I can use here. So when I'm using purchasing organization ISB 9, payment term is 002. But when the same material I purchase in plant ISP1, the payment term is 0003. Getting the point? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I can maintain the different data at plant level also. I can go back. Now you can see here sub range. If you want to create a sub range, let me save this. Again, let me go inside. There might be some issue. It is not saving the vendor master record. Go to sub ranges, and here you can define the sub range. For example, from this vendor, I am purchasing material relevant to iPhone 5. I can create a sub range as iPhone 5. IP7 7. Likewise, I can define the sub ranges first. Now, once this sub range is created, you can maintain the data at this sub range level. Go to change the vendor master record, purchasing data, go to sub ranges, select this, sorry, go back, go to different data, continue. Now enter the sub range here, IP5, and you can select purchasing data. So now for sub range IP5, you can maintain the purchasing data. Continue. So here you can see on the basis of sub range, you are maintaining the data. So for Apple iPhone 5, if you are buying some material from this vendor, you can have different data here. And for iPhone 7, if you are buying some product from this material, you can have different details here. Clear? Understood? So this is how you can maintain the sub ranges or the plant specific data in the vendor master record. And the setting is controlled by the account group. And then partner schema. So what is partner schema? What is this partner schema? What are partner functions? So same vendor can play different roles in purchasing transaction. ठीक है, that we call it as partner function. For example, हमने एक वेंडर को पीओ दिया, उसी से मटेरियल ले लिया, उसी ने हमको इनवॉइस दे दिया, पेमेंट हमने उसी को किया. तो in this case the same vendor is playing different roles. He is receiving the order, so he is order recipient. He is providing us invoice, he is invoicing party. We are paying to him, so he is invoicing party. He is supplying the goods, so he is a goods supplier. So different roles are performed by the same vendor. Now if we give a purchase order to one vendor, he is receiving the order, so he is order recipient. Now what he says, I have received the order but goods will be supplied by another vendor. मैं ऑर्डर ले लूंगा पीओ का, बट आपको जो मटेरियल आएगा वो मेरी तरफ से नहीं आएगा, किसी और से आएगा. So that third vendor is your goods supplier. This scenario is applicable when you order online materials. When you purchase something from Amazon, Flipkart, what happens? We place the order to Amazon or Flipkart. हम ऑर्डर प्लेस करते हैं Amazon को, बट जो मटेरियल हमारे पास आता है जरूरी नहीं है कि वो Amazon का प्रोडक्ट हो. So Amazon takes our order and gives it to some other vendor to fulfill that order. And that vendor supplies us that material. So that is goods supplier. Amazon gives us the invoice. Amazon is the invoicing party. Okay? So likewise, different partner functions we use, and those partner functions are grouped into a partner schema. तो जैसे आपका परचेस का प्राइसिंग प्रोसीजर होता है, वैसे ये पार्टनर स्कीमा इज नथिंग बट अ प्रोसीजर टू डिफाइन पार्टनर फंक्शंस. आपके कौन से पार्टनर फंक्शंस वेंडर मास्टर में यूज होने हैं या परचेसिंग डॉक्यूमेंट जैसे पीओ में यूज करना है, फॉर दैट रीजन दिस पार्टनर स्कीमा इज यूज्ड. So if you want to create the partner schema based on the purchasing organization, you use partner schema L1, which is standard. If it is based on the sub-range, then you use L2, and if it is based on the plant level, then you use L3 as the partner schema. Okay? So just keep in mind, schema is nothing but the partner functions which are allowed. Okay? So आपको at this entry point of level, nobody is going to ask you the configuration settings for the partner scheme. Clear? Any doubt, any question in vendor master data, material master data?
Yes.
हेलो.
Yes.
सर वो प्राइसिंग प्रोसीजर में स्कीमा ग्रुप ऑफ वेंडर है और इसमें पार्टनर स्कीमा में डिफरेंस क्या है जो हम कॉन्फ़िगरेशन करते हैं प्राइसिंग?
Difference, schema group of vendor master is used in your pricing procedure. This is partner schema. That is different, this is different.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Clear, understood?
सर रिकंसिलिएशन अकाउंट एवरी वेंडर के लिए अलग रखते हैं या फिर ऐसे ग्रुप से रखते हैं?
It depends on the finance department how it functions. So generally ग्रुप ऑफ वेंडर्स के लिए अलग अलग होते हैं, हर एक वेंडर के लिए अलग नहीं होता. ठीक है, अलग अलग वेंडर्स के ग्रुप्स के लिए, जैसे आप अकाउंट ग्रुप्स क्रिएट करते हो, क्यों क्रिएट करते हो? अलग अलग वेंडर्स के लिए अलग अलग सेटिंग्स आपको चाहिए, तो आप अलग अलग वेंडर्स के लिए अलग अलग अकाउंट ग्रुप यूज करके उसको बनाते हो. फॉर एग्जांपल, यू वांट अ बाइफर्केशन इन लोकल वेंडर्स एंड इंपोर्ट वेंडर्स. तो लोकल वेंडर के लिए अकाउंट ग्रुप अलग रहेगा, इंपोर्ट वेंडर के लिए अकाउंट ग्रुप अलग रहेगा. क्यों अलग रहेगा? लोकल वेंडर्स के नंबर्स आपको अलग चाहिए, इंपोर्ट वेंडर के नंबर्स आपको अलग चाहिए. प्राइसिंग स्कीमा जो है वेंडर मास्टर का, वो इंपोर्ट के लिए अलग रहेगा, लोकल के लिए अलग रहेगा. ठीक है, इसलिए आप अलग अलग अकाउंट ग्रुप्स का यूज करते हो. ठीक है,
ओके.
सो सेम वे, क्या क्वेश्चन था?
रिकंसिलिएशन अकाउंट.
रिकंसिलेशन अकाउंट, ठीक है। तो अगर मुझे 10 वेंडर के लिए सेम रिकंसिलेशन अकाउंट यूज करना है तो आई ग्रुप दोज 10 वेंडर्स यूजिंग दैट रिकंसिलेशन अकाउंट, ठीक है। तो लोकल वेंडर्स का एक रिकंसिलेशन अकाउंट में मुझे देखना है कि कितना पेमेंट करना है, और इंपोर्ट वेंडर का अलग से देखना है। तो इंपोर्ट वेंडर के लिए अलग रिकंसिलेशन अकाउंट यूज किया जा सकता है, लोकल के लिए अलग किया जा सकता है, ठीक है। सो अलग अलग ग्रुप्स के लिए, हर एक वेंडर के लिए नहीं करते, ठीक है। हर एक वेंडर के लिए करेंगे तो बहुत सारे जीएल अकाउंट्स उनको बनाने पड़ेंगे।
तो सर एवरी वेंडर का हम ट्रैक कैसे करेंगे लायबिलिटी, अगर एक ही इसको असाइन कर दिया तो?
सो सी, रिकंसिलेशन अकाउंट में क्या होता है, मल्टीपल वेंडर्स का कितना देना है वो होता है, ठीक है। सो व्हेन द सिस्टम पुट्स दिस वैल्यू इन रिकंसिलेशन अकाउंट, एट द सेम टाइम इंडिविजुअल वेंडर का कितना देना है वो भी सिस्टम ट्रैक करता रहता है, उसके लिए अलग जीएल अकाउंट यूज
ओके,
ठीक है। सो साइमल्टेनियसली सिस्टम रिकंसिलेशन अकाउंट में भी पोस्ट करता है और वेंडर अकाउंट में भी पोस्ट करता है। तो एक वेंडर का कितना देना है वो भी पता चलता है, और सबका मिला के कितना देना है वो भी पता चलता है। नाउ सिंगल वेंडर का कितना देना है, सो 100 वेंडर्स है सपोज, 100 वेंडर्स का इंडिविजुअल का जब आप सम करोगे दैट शुड मैच विथ योर रिकंसिलेशन अकाउंट। दैट इज हाउ द रिकंसिलेशन इज डन,
ओके सर।
ठीक है। सो असाइनमेंट फॉर टुडे, एक हो गया वन टाइम वेंडर अकाउंट का, ठीक है। नाउ कल आप लोगों ने मटेरियल टाइप क्रिएट किए हैं?
यस सर।
यस सर।
ठीक है। नाउ वन मोर असाइनमेंट ऑन मटेरियल टाइप, क्रिएट मटेरियल टाइप। आप उसको जो भी नाम देना है दे दो, ठीक है। क्रिएट मटेरियल यूजिंग दैट मटेरियल टाइप, and it should be a stock material. The requirement is it should be a stock material. वो मटेरियल स्टॉक का होना चाहिए। तो आपने जब पीओ किया तो आप आइटम कैटेगरी स्टैंडर्ड के साथ उसका पीओ बनाना चाहिए, ठीक है। इट शुड नॉट गिव यू एनी एरर दैट अकाउंट असाइनमेंट इज मैंडेटरी इन द पीओ, ठीक है। अंडरस्टूड द रिक्वायरमेंट?
यस सर।
ठीक है। नाउ क्रिएट vendor account group for one time vendor। वन टाइम वेंडर के लिए एक अकाउंट ग्रुप बनाना है, उसको नंबर रेंज असाइन करना है। क्रिएट वेंडर मास्टर, सेम रेगुलर वेंडर के लिए करना है। क्रिएट अ न्यू अकाउंट ग्रुप फॉर रेगुलर वेंडर, नॉट फॉर वन टाइम वेंडर, फॉर वेंडर, ठीक है। असाइन नंबर रेंज, क्रिएट वेंडर मास्टर, चेक करो कि आपका नंबर रेंज आता है। चेंज फील्ड सिलेक्शन, for one field each from जनरल डेटा। जनरल डेटा में से एक फील्ड चेंज करनी है, परचेसिंग डेटा में से एक फील्ड चेंज करना है, फील्ड सिलेक्शन एंड अकाउंटिंग डेटा। तीनों में से एक फील्ड का फील्ड सिलेक्शन आपको चेंज करना है, ओके। देन how many of you can create automatic PO from purchase requisition?
Yes, sir, we can.
You can?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Try this. Now I am giving you a practical example of how the data can be maintained at plant level, okay. So we have two plants, ISB8 and ISB9. ISB 8, ISB 9. Okay, we have two plants. Now the requirement is create auto PO for same vendor in plant like this. If I give you this, then you can do it. Okay, the requirement is when I purchase a material in plant ISB 8 from vendor XYZ, so you need to create vendor here. Okay, so when I purchase material in plant ISB 8 from vendor XYZ, I want to create manual PO, but when I purchase this material in ISB 9 from XYZ vendor, it should be automatically created. PO should be automatically created. Understood the requirement?
Yes, sir.
So this is the assignment for today. For point number 8, how you will do it? Yes. How you can achieve this?
Vendor summarize plant level.
Check this and come up with the answer tomorrow. Okay. Chalo. See you on Monday now. Tomorrow I'll not be able to take the class. Okay.
सर
So
जो
you will...
फील्ड रेफरेंस का चेंजेस है वो बाद में रिवर्ट बैक करने को बोल दो तो सब
You
फील्ड
can
गायब
do
हो
it.
जाएंगे.
You can do it. No issues. ठीक है. You can see this is for you. आपने चेंज करके देखा हो रहा है, वापस जैसा था वैसा करके छोड़ो. ठीक है.
Yes.
Okay. चलो. See you on Monday then. ठीक है. Tomorrow I will not be able to take the class. So we'll meet on Monday.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Bye bye.